Hi everyone, welcome to the KMGN course, KM the New Era of AI, from strategy through change to impact. Today we have a special guest, Jayadatta Lad from Afcons. Jayadatta manages the whole L&D, no, it's not L&D, the whole learning and knowledge unit, and he'll give the exact name in a minute. And he will be sharing with us the Afcons case study, a very interesting story on how they've built their strategy and implemented it and upgraded it and implemented it and again and again and again, every time taking it to new heights and new records and even improved success regarding to the years before. So today we are ending our strategy cluster and moving to our change management. And it doesn't matter where we put Jayadatta at the end of the strategy or as the opening to the change management. It can fit them all, and it fits them all because it speaks both about the strategy and on the implementation. Thank you, Jayadatta. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Moria. Good day to everyone. Just give me a minute as I share my screen. Moria, I have a request. If you could just give me a heads up if I cross 40 minutes. I have a small Miro board task, so I just want to give some adequate time for that. Okay, I hope my screen is visible.
A linha da construção numérica é meio de. Então, documento, só seguir aquela sequência.
Yeah, I hope the screen is visible.
Aquela sequência, numeração.
Okay. Sure. Thank you.
Yes, we can see it.
So, good morning, good afternoon.
I'll try muting everyone because I hear it's noisy. So 1 minute, let's see that everyone is muted. And then you please unmute yourself.
Okay.
Here we go. Please.
Yeah, thank you, Maria. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you from the KMGN community. And it's my pleasure to be here sharing the case study of knowledge management and how we have evolved at Afcons. So as we start, a brief context about Afcons. We are a $1.5 billion EPC construction company based out of Mumbai, India. And we do a lot of work, of course, domestically here in India, but also in Africa, in Middle East, and recently we've also entered the European market. We do a lot of work for ports, roads, flyovers. In fact, our domestic portfolio has some of the most technically complex and challenging projects done here in India. So with this very brief background about the organization, I want to take you through the evolution of knowledge management here. And it's been a pretty long journey, roughly around 15 years now. And there have been a lot of players who are involved in this journey, of course, the senior management, the senior leadership team. But apart from that, even Mr. Rudolph, who initially was part of us as a consultant and then later as the chief knowledge officer. Then Mr. Deepak Gaikwad. And I myself became part of the KM team as late as 2021. But I've been, I think, involved in some of the processes a couple of years earlier as well. So it's been a long journey. A lot of people have been, instrumental in bringing us here. But I am fortunate to have this privilege of presenting it to you. So we started in roughly around 2010, 2011. With formation of two teams, technical training team and knowledge management team. Technical training team focusing on the technical development of engineers, and of course knowledge management with the mandate to ensure that whatever knowledge that is being generated at the project, both tacit and explicit, is captured and reused. And the first thing we did was development of what we call as the Gnosis portal. So this is what our knowledge repository is called. And Gnosis basically is a Greek word which stands for wisdom. So we wanted to evoke that idea that if you come to the portal, you will learn and gain wisdom, and therefore not only benefit yourself but also the project. The second phase, wherein we started setting up the key processes from a knowledge management point of view, we focused a lot on lessons learned and our project completion reports. These were exhaustive sort of dockets of information. Once the project is completed, that would enable the next project to start up. We adapted the learn before, learn during, and the learn after framework and aligned it with our project life cycle. This kind of enabled us to ensure that we are in sync with the project activities and our knowledge activities line up with the construction activities are there. And through various promotional campaigns, we started engaging with the users. So this was basically a phase in where we tried to increase our outreach to the project and the project users, and at the same time started spreading our roots in terms of the processes that were there. The third phase was a very interesting phase. That's when we started to see the synergies between the two teams, the technical training team and the knowledge management team. And we coalesced them into one single unit, which today it's called as the Knowledge Services Group. So I lead the knowledge management part, and my colleague, Ms. Krishna Kumari, she leads the technical training. And together we constitute what we internally call as Knowledge Services Group. So the group is roughly around 16 members strong. So each of us have around eight other colleagues working with us in this KM and technical training field. That in phase three, we also moved on our maturity where we started to introduce gamification, and we brought in a campaign, a concept called Mission 10,000, which was our way of measuring how projects were evolving along their maturity as a knowledge enterprise. So where I say in the third phase, project as a KE, KE here stands for a knowledge enterprise, which basically came from our strategy where we said that we as AFCONs wanted to be a knowledge enterprise, and therefore basically drilling it down to the project level, we said we want each and every project to become a knowledge enterprise. So Mission 10,000 became a gamified approach that we adopted, and which helped us to sort of measure this evolution and movement of the projects in this line. We formally launched a pool of knowledge ambassadors with the intent that they would become the bridge for the knowledge services group and the project and help us to ensure that seamlessly information flows happens between both the entities. We also launched an internal framework we call as Improvation, which is basically a trademark framework for doing innovation. And currently, we see ourselves as in phase four, where we are starting to do a lot more consolidation. We've sort of added on a couple of new knowledge assets, primarily Atma, which is our AFCON Standard Management Academy. It's a virtual academy for development of subject matter experts. And Innovate Excel, which is a virtual platform for all AFCONs to come together and celebrate innovation. In the same phase, we are also now gearing up and strengthening our key processes. And as a next step of evolution of the knowledge repository, we are looking to make it AI enabled. Now, this is basically the entire gamut of the last 15 years, what has happened. But the fundamental thing here, of course, has been the fact that from day one, we have been focused on the individual. And as the maturity and as the evolution kept on progressing, we moved from an individual to looking at the project as a unit. And now in phase four, we are operating at a phase where we are looking at the company as a single unit for knowledge capture and dissemination. Central to this, of course, has been the fact that our strategic vision for a long time had a goal of AFCONs being a knowledge enterprise. And even in fact, in a latest strategy and visioning exercise, a lot of emphasis has been placed on how now the organization believes that knowledge management is a strategic enabler for the Vision 2030 by driving tangible outcomes at the projects. And therefore, in line with that, for us at the Knowledge Services Group, we see ourselves becoming a center of excellence for the organization, driving the organization forward in its mission to be a knowledge enterprise. So today specifically, when it comes to strategy and the way we've moved forward, I thought I'll take this opportunity to discuss uh, around 4, 5 factors which I believe helped us around our journey of how we've evolved so far. It's helped us to have this longevity and also to ensure that we are able to create impact. In fact, many of the things I might speak are going to be either very, straightforward, logical, or I'm sure many of you may be also implementing these things. But I do feel that, I do hope that you take back 1 or 2 things from this discussion today. Okay, so the very first factor that when you talk of embedding a knowledge management program is everyone speaks of how important it is to have the buy-in of the senior management. And in our case, there were a couple of very unique parameters. So the first one is our senior leadership team is very highly involved operationally in the project. So they are practically visiting every project at a very frequent interval, interacting with the engineers. And that kind of helped us. We leaned on them in the initial phases to ensure that they were the ones who were spreading the message and talking to the people and ensuring that they get the message of why it is so important for us as an organization to build knowledge as a competitive differentiator. The other thing that has helped us in specifically in our context is the continuity of the senior leadership team. So the senior leadership team has been here for 20 years and more, and that itself, this continuity itself ensured that they were the ones who were, instrumental in conceptualizing the strategy of adopting knowledge as a competitive differentiator, and has basically have seen us through these various phases through our ups and downs. And I think it definitely gives us a lot of backing when we have a leadership team who have been involved in the decision making for the KM process from day one. But that's some of the environmental factors which are there. So specifically, what we at KSD have done to ensure that the senior management team remains engaged with us throughout. Some of these points I've just put down here. So we definitely have our quarterly reviews, and we ensure that in each quarterly review, we as KM get a slot where we are able to speak not only to the senior leadership team but also to the entire project leadership team. So the quarterly reviews have more than 100 participants from across the organization, basically both the project and the leadership teams. And here we ensure that we are bringing in topics which are of interest to them. Primarily, when we talk of lesson learned debriefs, we talk about management takeaways from some recent projects and and basically it's a reflection session for all involved. We choose around 3 to 4 key points from the recent projects that that can be useful to the forum and ensure that they get discussed. Apart from that, we use these slots to talk about our new initiatives and campaigns, rewards and recognition for top projects which are using knowledge. This, of course, as I said earlier, we measure through Mission 10,000. Quite recently, one of the things that we've also started is doing podcasts with the senior leadership team. And till date, around 70% of the senior leadership team has been on the KM podcast, where they have spoken about their journey, their career, how did they build their career, what would they advise the younger engineers, what are the challenges that are facing the organization, what are the opportunities which are there. And basically, it's through the knowledge management platform, it's also a way of them connecting to the Afghanians. So, and this has also been very well received. So that also helps us to engage very well with the leadership team. And of course, the one of the primary functions that we also play is escalating systemic issues that may require organizational-wide efforts. So one of the examples sometime back is where we started to see patterns through lessons learned that we were doing in our African projects. And these were oriented around some of the challenges in the logistics from India to Africa. And we compiled a set of these lessons and we took it up to the management saying that we are seeing these patterns. And I think, it requires some sort of introspection. And a cross-functional team was put into play and they worked on developing an SOP for improving the logistics operations. So, as I said, involving the senior management team was very important. Everyone knows how to do it, but the focus always is going to be how do you keep engaging them and ensuring that they see value in what we are doing. The second thing that was something that we did, which I feel was unique in our context, was we basically led the employee engagement initiative for the organization. So, in a project-based organization like ours, the employee engagement activities and opportunities are basically rather limited. And a lot of the employee engagement that happens is decentralized. It basically happens at the project level. So we saw that this was an opportunity for us to enter in and basically ensure that both knowledge capture and dissemination happens in a way which engages the employee through campaigns. So campaigns became very early on one of the key focal points of how we were engaging with the rest of AFCONs. And in fact, one of our flagship campaigns, we call it as November to December, which runs for 2 months every year. And in fact, it was we last year in November we were celebrating the ninth edition of the particular campaign. So for the entire 2 month period, we have various activities which engage the audience to share their knowledge, and also we look for opportunities on how we can disseminate this knowledge through other mediums. Similarly, a couple of years back, we worked on to develop a new campaign called Innovate Excel, which was focused around sharing of innovations, where we conceptualized a virtual platform to bring Afghanians from all over the world together for a period of 3 to 5 days and get them to talk about the innovations that are happening in the organization. So we had the 16 top innovations of the year present to the entire forum. We had internal speakers, external speakers, and we also created a project sort of booths wherein people could go and look at the innovations done at each and every project. Then certain nudges and behavior modification oriented initiatives. So change the habit and make the habit were two initiatives which were oriented towards getting people to adopt using the Gnosis portal or the knowledge repository as their primary search function for technical information. And the campaign ran for over 2 years. And what we observed was there was a 2x increase in the number of users, and as well as a 3x increase in the total searches that were happening through this particular campaign. We've also developed a concept called Tectonic, which is basically every day one quiz question comes to all the employees, which is oriented around a particular topic or a theme for the month. So this also is acting as one of the ways for disseminating knowledge and also gets us engaged because a lot of the younger Afghans they find that these small campaigns don't take too much of their time but are also competitive and they also win some prizes. So it kind of encourages them to go and participate a lot. Then over the last 4 years, we've basically seen across in the environment itself that there's a lot of use of these reels and people getting hooked onto shorts. So we've also started to adopt a lot of our content into the video format. So we've been doing a lot of podcasts, technical documentaries, as well as knowledge reels. And the over the last 4 years, we've basically 6x our entire video library, which initially was only focused on some process videos and animations. And we've been experimenting with different modes of learning. So things like AR, VR based learning, especially for certain crucial engineering components. We've been trying those out. We had very limited success in these areas. Primarily VR, we found a lot of people were not really comfortable with VR, and AR had its other set of issues, primarily oriented around the use of certain devices for which people were not really uh, comfortable working with them. The third thing that really helped us, shape the way we've been evolving is the fact that throughout these 10 to 15 years, we've been ensuring that we are identifying what are the natural patterns of knowledge flow and ensuring that our activities and our processes align with them. So, in our context, where our portfolio is of niche and technically complex projects, we by default see that there's a lot of interchange of knowledge that happens between people, primarily happening on the job, of course, but also during operational reviews and brainstorming sessions. And one of the key set of people who are involved there is a group which we internally call as core methods group. Now, these are subject matter experts with significant experience, and it's a very it's a very short group of around 10 individuals, but who basically advise for most of these technically complex projects. So we ensure that we build some of our core capture and dissemination mechanisms around them, with them being the facilitators. So they act as facilitators for our lessons learned process. At the same time, they also act as facilitators for our activity-based classrooms, which is a mechanism that we've developed to disseminate the information before the start of any construction activity. So acknowledging the fact that these are the people that people turn to whenever they have any technical doubts, and these are highly respected people in their fields. Uh, our alignment of our processes, ensuring that they were made the focus and the process developed around them, has been significantly important, because that's how we've seen that these key processes have continued to give a lot of value for the organization. Then, of course, the coalition of both technical training team and knowledge management team into the knowledge services group, that itself has helped us a lot, because it has ensured that the flow of knowledge captured from the knowledge management team is flowing directly into the technical training team, which then builds those knowledge pieces either in form of like lessons or in form of any videos or any other knowledge content, either in an e-learning library or into the recently developed Afcon's talent management portal. So this alignment between the two units has been significantly important for us, and it has really helped us to ensure that both sides, the capture and dissemination, are taken care of. So the technical training team also ensures that through various master classes that they organize by SMEs, these can be both internal and external, we keep a lookout for who are the people who are acting as the nodes where other people are approaching for uh, getting their knowledge or for learning from them. Then, as an engineering company in India, 15 September is celebrated as Engineers Day. And even before the formation of knowledge management function, Engineers Day has been celebrated for a significant period of time. And under this, engineers used to submit technical presentations and papers, and there used to be a celebration around it. So, and knowing the fact that engineers are open to that kind of an environment where through a campaign they will be submitting their papers, submitting their case studies, has also led to the development of this November to December campaign, which primarily acts as a way of collating a lot of the case studies which happen. So for the more critical learnings, we have, and of course, a very detailed lessons learned process which happens. But we, through these campaigns, we are also able to mop up any sort of knowledge artifact which may not have been either discussed or submitted. So this also acts as a very good mechanism for us to capture innovations, to encourage people to share their learnings today in the form of even like video reels and video formats. Then one of the things we also observed was on the portal itself, when people were making searches. Some of the searches, of course, would not yield adequate result, and that would prompt the user to approach an expert externally outside the portal. So we set up a mechanism wherein after every search, we are able to take the feedback of the user, whether the search has been to his satisfaction or not. And if the search is not to his satisfaction, then what is that specific information or knowledge that he's looking out for? Once the user shares what he's looking out for specifically, then we trigger an offline flow wherein our team then finds the appropriate expert and then connects the expert with the user so that the user's search intent gets satisfied. In certain cases, if uh, the query or the search is very broad-based and can be useful to a wider audience, then we work with the expert to develop new knowledge assets that can be helped. So this process has also helped us to identify any knowledge gaps in the existing repository and at the same time try to see how we can close these gaps. And then, of course, improvisation, our entire innovation process, this itself has sort of germinated from a study of the past innovations that we've done. So somewhere around 2019, Mr. Rudolph and I, we spent some time where we looked at a lot of the innovations that were done uh, by the organization. And we realized that we could classify these innovations under three buckets. So these were primarily innovations which were oriented to satisfy a client's demand in certain cases. In some cases, there was a constraint or a bottleneck that the project faced. And in order to overcome that, they had to do an innovation. And the third case was wherein the project themselves wanted to challenge a known benchmark, either internal to the organization or an external benchmark, and therefore find out ways to do that. What we also realized that what we were calling as innovation would not strictly fall in the purview of definition of innovation as is. So we were not doing any R&D or sort of new development when we talk of innovation. But this was also not what someone can call as an improvisation. So we realized this was somewhere in the spectrum between an innovation and an improvisation. And therefore, we coined this term improvisation, and we have a trademark for it as well. We also developed a four-way test to basically filter out any proposed innovations, whether they fall into the bracket of improvisation or not. And again, through these campaigns, through K2D, through InnovateXL, we sort of ensure that these innovations flow through us at a regular time. So every year we get around 120 odd innovations, which when they pass through the filtering process, around 1/5 of them get retained, and then in the InnovateXL virtual platform, they get presented to the entire AFCONs. We saw a very good uptick when it came to the virtual innovation platform that we started 2 years back. So for a context, the organization is 3,500 employees, and when we started started InnovateXL, we were targeting that we should be able to reach at least 750 employees. But we got a tremendous response, and we were able to cross more than 1,000 employees in the first year itself. So next year we targeted for around 1,200 employees, and next year being last year, we were able to cross 1,800 employees. So that's around 50-55% of the organization coming together to celebrate innovation, to learn from each other for a period of 5 days. And there is no other current program in the organization which is able to have such a wide reach at this point in time. So the format of the program and the way we have been operating it has been very well received by the organization. And again, it just creates another avenue for the knowledge to flow.
I want to stop Jayadatta because there are several questions for the past 10 minutes on the chat.
Okay.
And if it's okay, I'll read the questions and we'll
Yes.
answer them if they were not yet answered before we continue. Okay, so the first question
Sure.
would be from Josephine, asking how you motivate employees to share the challenges and tough lessons.
Okay. So our lessons learned process is a slightly different process than traditionally, which is there. We basically run facilitated lessons learned discussions, wherein apart from the subject matter expert, there is a facilitator whose job is to ensure that the discussion happens smoothly. Everyone gets a chance to speak in the discussion and basically conduct the entire session. So these are trained facilitators who run the discussion. Along with them, me and my team members, we are also present when the discussion happens. And as a sublet to the entire process, uh, one part involves a one-to-one discussion between the employee and the KMT. So in the common forum, if with the facilitators, if with the subject matter experts, if the person is not able to raise those challenges or talk about them, in the one-to-one discussions, they generally do.
Wonderful. Next question comes from just a minute. Comes from I don't know who. Someone's joining from the phone. Oh, from Tracy, and she's asking if you have a designated knowledge person for each project.
Yeah, so we have what we call as knowledge ambassadors. Each project is expected to have at least 3 knowledge ambassadors. This is a voluntary role. This is over and above their existing job role and job responsibilities. In some of the projects, we have seen the projects nominate more than 3 up to 7 knowledge ambassadors as well. And we invest time and energy in training these knowledge ambassadors, giving them training which is generally not available to them at their level, which is what we call as a knowledge ambassador boot camp. And these trainings are primarily oriented towards developing their soft skills, which basically enable them to move on to a managerial role much earlier. So we kind of facilitate them. That's how we motivate them, saying that this is going to lead to further opportunities for you. And in fact, in a couple of cases, we have seen knowledge ambassadors getting further promoted to become project managers. So we also have some case studies in that regard.
I want to elaborate on that for a minute because this is a very unique idea that I didn't see before. And when you shared it with me a year ago, I was fascinated. What you're saying here, that people in the project can volunteer to be knowledge ambassadors. So when you have at least 3 of them or at least 2 of them, they are a small network within the project that they back up one each they back up each other, they help each other,
That's
and
good.
no one
Yeah,
feels that he's in charge alone. Sometimes when you have 3 people in charge, it's like you have none. But in this case, it's the opposite because they help one another. And that's one thing. And they have bonuses because they are volunteering to be knowledge ambassadors. They can they get some more education or some other benefits that others don't receive. Yes?
that's correct. Yes. And in fact, some of the knowledge ambassadors, the more enterprising ones, the more involved ones, we see them for around 2 to 3 years. And if they consistently for their project achieve Mission 10,000, we also then promote them to become knowledge senators. The role of a knowledge senator is far different from an ambassador. The senator basically is like a mechanism to reflect back to the KSG team as to what are the initiatives which are working, which need to be tuned, which need to be tweaked, and they are providing more like mentorship to the junior ambassadors. So that is also one of the ways that they sort of get promoted.
Wonderful. I think that takes us to the next question of Alison, asking about recognition and incentives for employees, not for the knowledge ambassadors, but now for those employees that have critical niche, niche skills. And it takes us to the retention strategy. If you have something in that area, how do you promote people with unique knowledge to share their knowledge and not wait for them to leave or for them after they leave to start and cry out that we are missing knowledge?
Yeah, yeah, got it. So I think one of the things that the campaigns have helped us is by the design of the campaigns itself, they are also competitive in nature. So there are definite rewards for submitting unique knowledge which is more impactful. And the way we design the categories also is we basically have multiple levels in which the rewards will go out. So to give an example, in the previous year, in the November to December campaign, 540 odd employees participated and shared around 600, 700 odd knowledge pieces. Out of these 500 odd employees, 120 plus employees were rewarded in some way or the other. So through different levels and stratifications within the campaign and the categories, we ensure that it's also competitive. People also take that effort, and the good entries and the people who are sharing the good knowledge get rewarded that way. Does it ensure that everything gets covered? I wouldn't say so. Of course, there is definitely some parallel process which needs to be run, because there is going to be certain bad actors within the setup who, despite all the incentives that you may give, may still not want to share knowledge for their own reasons.
I think that there's always work for next year, because
Yeah,
yes, you can't only work on campaigns here and on, even if people are willing to share, you can't only work on campaign once a year or twice a year. But let's leave that,
that's
because there's also a place to upgrade the strategy in a year or two. Next question of Patrick is asking about the differentiation between KM and learning, because we spoke about it in the beginning that these two
yes.
units are together. However, they have two unit managers. So if you want to elaborate on that for a minute.
That's true. So basically, both the units are very loosely coupled, and loosely coupled in two sense, because both the units, in terms of the activities, they operate independently. They have their own set of activities which they undertake. However, there is a converging point wherein for each project we prepare what we call as a KSG planner. So the KSG planner basically aligns all the knowledge activities, which are the knowledge management as well as the technical training activities, to the construction activities, wherein each project also gets assigned one lead, one from each of the teams. So for each project, you are going to have three knowledge ambassadors operating from the project side, and from the knowledge services group, one knowledge management lead and one technical training lead. They both work together to develop the KSG planner, which basically aligns the work for the entire year, which activities have to be done when. But the actual execution of those knowledge activities, each team works independently.
So what you're saying is that if I'm in a new project or I'm in some project and now I'm reaching a new stage, a new milestone, so the lessons learned, the KM people will check what is required for me to know, and they will be speaking with the training people, and those will be providing the training so that I do know what I should be knowing.
Yeah. Only thing is that those things happen at different points in time. So we do the training before the activity starts. And of course, lessons up till now we've been doing at the end of the activity, but we recently modified our process to do it more time-based. No?
I meant that before the next activity. Oh, this was
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
That's our reminder. So we have two last questions. One, were you asked to calculate ROI, the return on investment? What are as to the benefits and as to the expenses? And I see you're smiling, and for a good reason.
Yeah, I think that's a perennial question, and I don't have an answer for that. In fact, I have one slide where I was hoping that someone would help me get the answer to that question. But what we generally, when we discuss with the management, we've been able to show is intangible impact through various metrics, like in case of KM, how many users we are engaging, how many knowledge pieces are getting covered, and how much knowledge is being shared back to the project before the activities happen. But ROI, or tangible benefits, is something that we are also currently working on, trying to find a framework to develop them.
For my knowledge of your case study, uh, even that you're not speaking specifically about the formal ROI, your management is very business oriented, and they don't believe in stuff only because they sound good and others do them. And the investment in KM is getting bigger and bigger from year to year because they see how it turns to be business benefits. And that's also how it started, from coming with some specific idea and some specific initiative, maybe later on, or maybe offline. And just after that succeeded, they started with something else, and just later on turned it to be a KM unit. So even if they don't ask you to measure it, they surely look at the benefits, and that's the base for your work and for the enlargement of KM and its scope.
That's true. So in a way, let me expand on that. So as I mentioned, our senior leadership team is very operationally involved. So they can sense the intangible benefit. They can get that okay, people are getting more involved in the work. Some of the issues which should not have happened are getting blocked off. The reworks have reduced, but it's not metricized yet. And in fact, they have been also asking that, okay, it's time that you start putting metrics behind this so that not only you internally, but even the external world can recognize this, because not everyone can be involved hands-on to the project and understand these points. So that's a sort of a point or area for improvement for us also.
Okay, so we'll take you to the last question because we're already over time. My alarm snoozed. Have you explored? Well, getting more and more questions. So we'll take only this last one. Can you give some background on recognition, but now of the users, top projects that are using knowledge, not those who are contributing knowledge, but those who use the lessons, use the knowledge that has already been developed and reuse it again and again?
Yeah. So the proxy measure that we use is the Mission 10,000 gamified campaign. So basically what that means is, what we have done is, for all our knowledge activities, we have assigned points. So for example, if you do a lessons learned session, you get 500 points. If you do what we call an activity-based classroom, you get 200 points. If you submit a case study of how you have used knowledge to improve the productivity, you get 100 points. So we basically sort of created a table for this. In a year, a project is expected to have at least 10,000 points or more. And this becomes the measuring for the project. So at the end of the year, we basically tally all the activities that they have done, see the total score that comes out to be, and the topmost projects get rewarded. And I think I might have a slide on the next slide itself.
Okay, so let's run on. That also relates to the last question. So let's take it from here and run on, because we are after time.
Okay, so very quickly, so what you can see in the graphic, the Elite Super Club, that's the recognition that is awarded during the quarterly review meetings to the top projects. And it shows who are the people who are involved, who was the project manager, who are the knowledge ambassadors. It also shows the KM lead, the TT lead. It also shows what are the site-driven knowledge activities, what are the key contributions the project has done. And if you notice, this particular project has achieved 33,000 points, where the benchmark is 10,000.
Let's continue.
Okay, so I think I missed a slide in between. Okay, so the other thing that we have done as part of our strategy, which has helped us, is to ensure that the knowledge processes are embedded in our workflows. And this is basically the learn before, learn during, and the learn after model that we adopt. So our knowledge activities are classified for all the 3 stages of a project life cycle. Then they get translated into the KSG planner, which I mentioned, which aligns the knowledge activities and the project activities, and it gets broken down. One interesting point is, like when we were talking about ROI and impact, last year we conceptualized as part of K2D, one category we call as Target Plus, where we work with the projects to identify a stretch target for one of their critical activities. And we worked with them to see how they could reach or you could achieve those stretch targets basis the knowledge that we are providing, or through the connections or the knowledge flows that we could enable. And around 18% of the projects were able to show both time and cost improvement. So this has been an encouraging sort of development for us, and we are trying to see how we can now incorporate this within the broader Mission 10,000 framework. Yeah, the final thing for us, we basically have focused on the project as the focal point. And therefore, if you see all our activities, all our orientation is towards how do we get these projects to work with us to both contribute as well as use the knowledge. And like I mentioned in the Q&A, so Mission 10,000 is the gamified approach we use to measure the project's maturity. Some small things like KSG notice boards, these are basically visual commitments. So we ensure that they are placed in high visibility areas and people can see that what is the project's commitment towards Mission 10,000. Knowledge ambassadors and senators we've discussed. And in the last 3 years, we've also worked a lot on development of virtual talent management academy. This is for development of domain experts for the projects. From Mission 10,000 point of view, over the last 5 years, we have seen a substantial increase in the number of projects achieving Mission 10,000. So 42% projects to 73% projects achieving as on date. Okay, these are some of the testimonials, some of the anecdotes. I will not be going through. If someone is interested, they can have a look at it with the presentation later on. But it's not that we always get thank yous. We also get sometimes good feedback for improvement as well as part of these testimonials. And certain recognitions that the organization has won over a period of time. But not everything is good. So as I said, there are areas for us to also improve. We also have our valley of despair. So some of the points I just quickly want to touch upon. So of course, campaign fatigue is something that we are starting to see because the campaigns always have a core component and then a satellite component which keeps on changing. But and especially now our organization where there is longevity of the employees, then this is one of the issues that we have to start dealing with. Then in very specific cases for certain fast track projects, we have been asked not to get involved. So primarily because somewhere the management has also felt that there is a sort of a trade-off here between we getting involved and there is going to be a certain time which is going to be invested by the employees working with us, and they would rather have that time for these projects being invested in the operational activities. So this is something that is a challenge for us, that how do we ensure that even for fast track projects, we are considered relevant and not as a burden, specifically from a time point of view. Then the organization has been growing rapidly and we have been having a lot of lateral induction in the organization, so which is also changing the cultural fabric of the organization. So for us to ensure that in the last 15 years, what has been built as the underlying knowledge culture fabric that continues and it gets retained, and how do we ensure that the new people who come in, they add to it but not subtract. Then measurement of impact, I did mention, of course, right? We are also working on this area. How do we show tangible impact through knowledge activities? Then I'm sure many of you may have noticed that our efforts are primarily oriented towards projects, and we also feel it's time we have to extend our reach beyond the projects to other supporting functions. There are, of course, a lot of activities that we do with them. So even campaigns involve them, like innovation, K2D. We also do lessons with them, but we are not as deeply involved with supporting functions as much as we are involved with the projects. And of course, some recent development has been with the use or with the advent and easy access of generative AI. We see a lot of younger engineers moving from using the existing repository to migrating to using towards a Copilot or a ChatGPT or a Gemini. So if we have time, Moria, and you can let me know, I would want to get some help.
We have 10 minutes now, so maybe we'll do it
in members.
Okay. We have 10 minutes only, so maybe we send them only for 5 minutes and everyone writes without breakout rooms even, and everyone writes wherever they want on one of the notes, what they think can help. And we come back in 5 minutes and share it. Does that seem reasonable to you, Jayadatta?
That's fine.
Okay, so I'll share the link. Just a minute. I'll share the link to the frame. Just a minute. Oh no, I took the let's try it again. Copy link, and I'll put it on our Zoom. Wonderful. So let's take 5 minutes, and you see the question is also on our Miro board. We're not even sending you out to breakout rooms. Go wherever you want on this board and start helping us. What do you think? How can they take themselves one step further?
Thank you, Maria.
I'll set the timer.
شيئا مش عظيم.
Recording back. Jayadatta.
Right. Thank you, everyone. I'll definitely go through all your suggestions, and I'm sure it will definitely help us see how we can improve the usage of the repository. So this is from my side. If there are any more questions, we can take it up.
Anyone wants to add a remark in the last 2 minutes we have? Okay. I think it's time for all of us. Kudos to Jayadatta, and at the same time, Jayadatta many years worked with Rudolf, who initiated the unit. So, and he's out there backstage here. So I think it's time for kudos both for, and you can unmute yourself both for Jayadatta and for Rudolf for a wonderful job. We all envy you. Wow, wow, wow.
Thank you. Wonderful presentation, full of great insights. Thank you. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So I'll send you that. Oh, we love, Barbara, your flowers. So I'll send you the data, Jayadatta. And now it's time to tell everyone that now officially, even though today we were on the bridge between bridging between strategy and knowledge management, and next week we will start speaking about the change management journey or sub-journey in this full journey, and how to plan the change management program, thinking about knowledge. See you all next week.